Can men get pregnant? In this gender-affirming care, Mr. Secretary, can men get pregnant? Can you define what a transgender child is? Do you believe that a child is capable of making life-altering decisions to self-mutilate? Do you think that parents who believe in two genders only should have their children removed from them?
I believe in supporting and protecting transgender youth. I believe that they, along with their parents and their caregivers, will make the best decisions. And I would really urge that politicians like you stay out of their business.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to America First. This is the channel where we stand for truth, traditional values, and the principles that made this great nation the shining beacon of freedom it is today. If you're new here, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode where we expose the madness of the radical left. And trust me, folks, you're not going to want to miss this one because today we're diving into one of the most absurd and unscientific debates of our time. So, I just watched the video of Congresswoman Lauren Boebert questioning HHS Secretary Xavier Becerra, and let me tell you, patriots, it's like we're living in a dystopia novel. The topic: whether men can get pregnant, and the federal government's use of terms like birthing persons instead of mothers. Yes, you heard that right. The left is now trying to erase mothers and replace them with some gender-neutral nonsense. Let's break this down and expose the insanity.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Secretary Becerra. Thank you for being here today. I appreciate you coming before the committee. To start off, as a Secretary of Health and Human Services, can you define for this committee what is a man?
You're looking at one.
Great. So you are a man. I like that. Can you tell me, can men get pregnant?
Unless you know something I don't, I think the answer is pretty obvious.
What is that answer, sir?
I'm asking you, is there something you know that I don't know that would say that a man...
Well, I'm asking what you know. Can men get pregnant?
I'm not aware of it.
Okay. Well, Mr. Secretary, materials coming from your department, you've referred to mothers as birthing persons, replacing that title with...
Are mothers not persons?
Mothers are persons, but it seems to be more inclusive, like you're trying to include another gender in that.
I'm all about inclusion, Congresswoman.
There you go. Well, you know, just as a mother of 4 boys, I'm not necessarily offended at that. I am a person, but it's just unscientific and absurd.
How so?
To include men in that. If you're going to be inclusive, if you're going to be inclusive in birthing persons, yes.
Well, but it seems to me that you're trying to define the term.
Reclaiming my time. Can men get pregnant? Then we don't need to include them in this. Mothers are mothers. Moving forward, Mr. Secretary, I want to read for you from a document from your office, the Office of Population Affairs. It says in here, and I quote, "Gender-affirming care encompasses many facets of healthcare needs and support. It has been shown to increase positive outcomes for transgender and non-binary children." Mr. Secretary, what is a transgender child?
A child in America is a child in America, and I hope you and I can love that child just as much as we
Can you
love our own
define what a
children.
transgender child is?
That's a child in America, and it's an American citizen child who needs the services and love just the way any other child does.
Mr. Secretary, do you believe that a child is capable of making life-altering decisions to maim themselves?
So let me just say to you that I don't agree with your premise, but what I will say to you is children know much about themselves, and with the help of their...
Do you believe that children are capable of making the decision to self-mutilate?
Again, I don't necessarily accept the
Well,
premise of your
Mr. Secretary, I
question.
mean, you have gender-affirming care for young people, so this is something that you
I don't
have looked
equate
over.
gender-affirming care to mutilation. So if that's where you're going, then you're not going to get the answer you want.
So, Mr. Secretary here, can you tell me if there have been mastectomies, mastectomies, penectomies, or hysterectomies on children?
Well,
And have taxpayers funded that?
so I could probably use the help of my wife, who's an OBGYN, who could talk more, or maybe Dr. Burgess could help us out here.
For gender-affirming care, to be included in that?
I'm sorry, pose the question one more time, please.
In this gender-affirming care, Mr. Secretary, have there been tax dollars put forward to fund mastectomies, penectomies, and hysterectomies for sex reassignment purposes for minors with gender dysphoria?
So Americans are entitled to receive healthcare services. If they are entitled to receive any of the services that you just mentioned, then it would be against the law for us to try to deny them that care.
So for the record, you favor HHS's funding being able for sex reassignment, for surgeries on minors.
I will do everything I can to defend any American, including children, whether or not they fit the categories you have mentioned or not, and if they talk about gender-affirming care, I am there to protect the rights of any American.
Mr. Secretary, I want to turn to a different document. Your office released this gender-affirming care is trauma-informed care. In this document, you clearly state that gender-affirming care includes puberty blockers, hormones, and surgeries for minor children. You go on to assure parents that there is no scientifically sound reason to doubt hormones and surgeries are helpful to minor children. You also discuss this in a document that the potential for removing children from their parents is on the table if they're not providing gender-affirming care. Mr. Secretary, do you think that parents who believe in two genders only should have their children removed from them?
Mr. Secretary, you can answer or respond in writing. Her time has expired.
I can respond very quickly. Congresswoman, I believe in supporting and protecting transgender youth. I believe that they, along with their parents and their caregivers, will make the best decisions. And I would really urge that politicians like you stay out of their business.
I would urge that children get to stay with their parents.
Gentlewoman's time has expired. The committee
Mr. Chairman, may I please have unanimous
No, you can't.
consent
No, you may not. We're on a very
to
tight time frame, and there are
enter
votes
this into
being
the
called.
congressional record.
You may, oh, yes,
Thank you, sir.
without objection, you may do that. All right, the committee will be in recess. Please hurry back after the second vote.
First off, let's just applaud Congresswoman Boebert for asking the most basic yet crucial question of all. What is a man? That's right, folks. In this day and age, we have to ask high-ranking government officials to define what a man is. And you know what Becerra said? You're looking at one. Well, great, Secretary Becerra. At least we're all on the same page there. But then Boebert follows up with the million-dollar question. Can men get pregnant? And after a bit of awkward dodging, Becerra finally admits, no, well, I'm glad we cleared that up. Men cannot get pregnant. Shocking revelation, right? But here's where it gets ridiculous. Despite admitting this biological fact, Becerra tries to defend his department's use of the term birthing persons instead of mothers. Why? Because it's more inclusive. Inclusive of what? Men, who just admitted they can't give birth. Come on, folks. This isn't inclusivity, it's insanity. Now, as a proud patriot, I believe in recognizing the beauty and importance of motherhood. Mothers are the backbone of our families, our communities, and our nation. By replacing the word mother with birthing person, the left is not only erasing women, but also undermining the sanctity of the family itself. And for what? To appease a tiny vocal minority that insists on rewriting biology to fit their agenda? This isn't about inclusivity, it's about control. It's about forcing all of us to abandon truth and common sense for the sake of political correctness. And then we get to the heart of the matter, the radical gender ideology being pushed by this administration. Boebert brought up an HHS document that promotes so-called gender-affirming care for children. You heard that right, children. This includes puberty blockers, hormone treatments, and even irreversible surgeries like mastectomies and hysterectomies. And guess what? Your tax dollars are funding this madness. That's right, folks. The government is using your hard-earned money to promote life-altering procedures on minors who can't even legally vote or buy a pack of cigarettes. Let me ask you this, patriots. Do you believe a child is capable of making such a permanent, life-altering decision? Of course not. Children need guidance, protection, and love, not validation for confusion that's often temporary. But when Boebert pressed Becerra on whether minors should be allowed to make these decisions, he refused to answer directly. Instead, he deflected, saying that children know much about themselves and that he doesn't equate these procedures to mutilation. Well, I've got news for you, Mr. Secretary. Removing healthy body parts is mutilation, no matter how you try to spin it. And here's the most chilling part of this exchange. Boebert pointed out that another HHS document discusses the potential for removing children from parents who don't support this radical gender ideology. Think about that for a second. If you're a parent who believes in biological reality, if you believe that your son is a boy and your daughter is a girl, you could have your children taken away from you. This is government overreach at its worst, folks. It's a direct attack on parental rights and the values that hold our families together. Now, let me be clear. Every child deserves love and support. But that doesn't mean we should abandon science, common sense, and morality. The left wants to paint people like us, people who stand for truth and traditional values, as bigots. But the real bigotry is telling parents they have no say in their child's upbringing. The real harm is pushing irreversible procedures on confused kids who might later regret it. And the real threat is a government that thinks it knows better than parents. So what can we do, patriots? First, we stand up and speak out against this madness. Share videos like this one. Educate your friends and family. Second, we support leaders like Lauren Boebert who have the courage to ask the tough questions and hold this administration accountable. And finally, we fight for policies that protect parental rights, preserve the sanctity of the family, and uphold the truth. If you're as fired up as I am, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to America First, and share this video far and wide. Together, we can push back against the radical left and restore sanity to our country. Let's make our voices heard, patriots. This is our fight, and we're not backing down. Thank you for watching, and remember, America first always. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.